Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to Business Credit for Newbies. My name is Colin Mahan, and I'm a Director of Programs at the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center. And for those of you who may not know, the NASDAQ Center is a nonprofit that's building a better path for entrepreneurs worldwide by improving inclusion, access, and knowledge in entrepreneurship. As you may have just seen in the chat, the NASDAQ Center, along with our partner Mentor Cloud, launched a free mentor matching platform for entrepreneurs called Mentor Makers. You can create your own advisory board to guide and inspire you with in-the-moment mentorship from topic experts and professionals dedicated to providing exceptional mentorship for entrepreneurs across all races, industries, and geographies. So find or become a mentor today by using that link in the chat. Quick housekeeping item for the event today. We're going to open up for a live Q&A at the end of the event. So please submit those questions for us in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen throughout the presentation. Try to get to them all. Now, none of what we do here at the center could be possible without all the amazing support from our sponsors, including NASDAQ, Lehigh University, Bank of the West, Airbnb, KPMG, Wilson Sonsini, Woodruff Sawyer, BPM, and HubSpot. We're grateful and humbled by their contributions. Now, during these still, in so many ways, unique times, we're curious on how sentiment is among the entrepreneurs that we work with. So I'm going to launch a quick poll. Just let us know. How are you feeling about your business right now? Are you optimistic? And a little bit of that survival mode? We understand the entrepreneurial journey is tough. So let us know. We use this information to help the wellness programs that we develop for our entrepreneurs out there across the world. So let us know. Appreciate you voting. And I'm going to end this poll, share those results. Looks like optimism is in the lead, but a little bit of survival mode, a little bit of anxiety, and a tiny bit of fear. So hopefully our topic for today will help alleviate some of those sentiments. So without any further delay, please join me in giving a warm welcome in the chat to our special guest today. Yarelys Tifa is the founder of Cash is Queen. Yarelys, welcome.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you to the NASDAQ team for the warm welcome. Are we all set to share?
You're all good. Over to you whenever you're good.
Awesome. So I'm very, very excited to be here today. We are going to talk about a topic that is, number one, very important when it comes to your business journey. And number two, I nerd out about money a lot. I'm a money nerd. So we're going to talk about something that's also near and dear to my heart, which is how to really leverage other people's money to grow and scale your companies, and how to really be successful and use those resources that we have available to our advantage. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And I'm going to begin with just sharing a little bit about me and my journey. I graduated from the University of Connecticut in 2011, majored in resource economics with a concentration in business management and marketing, which I then, started going into sales and account management in corporate America for close to 10 years. And in the middle of the pandemic, I decided to walk away from my career to really pursue my passion, which is to help people in their personal and business finance journeys. And I do that currently through a number of workshops, webinars like these, one-on-one coaching services, and other partnerships all across the US. So this is the agenda for today. We're going to talk about what exactly is business credit, right? Why it's so important, the actual steps in being able to acquire business credit, understanding your scores, because guess what, guys? It's very different from personal credit. Opening lines of credit and the activity when it comes to that, business credit hacks, recaps, and checklists. And you guys are all going to receive a lot of follow-up material, documentation to support you in this journey, because there are some variables and there's some things that you have to kind of know in terms of the strategy and how to really leverage other people's money to grow your business. So we are going to also provide that information after the webinar. And then I would love to be everyone's friend here. So I'm going to share where you all can find me and how we can connect outside of this webinar. So before we dive into all this juicy content, I want to know, what do you all know about business credit already, if you know anything? So let me know in the chat. I'm going to keep moving forward, but I will go back and forth between the chat to just spark conversations and go from there. Yes, Huskies. Yes, amazing. I knew there was going to be a Husky here. All right, so it looks like some people don't know anything, and it's okay. That's why we're all here. It's not necessarily connected to your personal credit. That is absolutely correct. Nothing, unfortunately, nothing. That's about it. Put everything in your business name. So I've heard, correct. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Limited knowledge. You can be a personal guarantor or not, which is correct. Totally fresh and new. All right. Enough to be dangerous at parties. Oh my gosh. I know nothing about business credit. Okay. So let's get into it. What exactly is business credit? It's really your credit worthiness to lenders, right? And the beautiful thing about business credit is that, guess what? You don't have to have great personal credit to build it. A lot of people think that you need to put your personal credit as, as PG or collateral to be able to acquire business credit. And that is not true. You can absolutely build credit for your company separate from your social. And that's what we're going to talk about and what I'm really going to focus on today. And I'm really going to talk about the beginning, how that all works out and how you can strategize your way into acquiring credit for your company, right? It's very different from business credit. Well, personal and business credit are very different. There are some similarities, but we're going to talk about those differences and how you can really leverage that. It gets really challenging, to scale your company if you don't establish business credit for yourself. And guess what? When you do establish and grow your business credit scores, you can even do things like, and I've heard a lot of success stories where people use their solid business credit scores with their current company to even start new companies. Based on the lines of credit that they were able to acquire with their current companies. You can start building business credit as soon as you get your EIN number and your DUNS number, which we're going to get into in a second as well. And here's the importance, right? The reality of it is that there are a lot more opportunities when it comes to you establishing business credit separate from your personal credit. And that's because, a lot of lenders recognize that as business owners, we need more. We need more supplies. We need more resources. We need more of everything than if we were just applying as a consumer, right? Or applying connected to our personal credit. It doubles your borrowing ability. It makes you more lendable. And when you are approved, you can potentially receive favorable terms because of the score, the solid score that you've been able to generate. This is from the SBA, guys. So this is not my numbers. I'm not making this up, but the limits with business credit are 10 to 100 times higher than personal credit or consumer credit, right? And like I said, it's because of that, because lenders, potential creditors, they recognize that there is a greater need for supplies, tools, so on and so forth in the business world versus you consuming it under your personal credit, right? You will not only have opportunities to get lines of credit, which will be able to help you with your cash flow, right? And we're going to talk about that as well. But you will also be able to have the ability to pay employees direct deposit when it's that time for you to scale and grow a team. So here are the fundamental things when it comes to, before we talk about the activity, I think it's very important, and this is what a lot of people miss, is that they don't set up a proper foundation for themselves, right? So what you want to do is, before you even think about getting, vendor accounts, net 30 accounts, trade lines, which again, we're going to get to in a second, you need to make sure that your foundation is set, right? And it's solid. How you do that is by making sure you have your EIN number, registration with the state, make sure you are in good standing, right, with the Secretary of State. And another thing I want to mention about that is that all business all business structures can build business credit. It may look different depending on what your structure is, right? So nonprofits may have the opportunity to have more grants or different types of loans versus, an LLC, for instance. And it varies, right? But every business structure can build business credit. And as a sole prop, you do want to make sure that you operate, that you register, your DBA, and obviously register with the Secretary of State. So the next big thing is obtaining your DUNS number. This is absolutely crucial and necessary for you to start building business credit, right? This opens up the door for business credit eligibility for your company. So the DUNS number helps you establish credibility, get special discounts from suppliers, and it helps you also keep your personal credit separate as well. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about Dun Bradstreet in a second. And then the last big foundational piece to this is making sure that you have a dedicated business bank account, right? Not a personal account that you're using for business transactions. You want to make sure that this account is connected to your EIN number as well. Okay, I had the privilege of, being able to do this type of presentation all year long, and I've spoken to hundreds of business owners starting off, and I cannot tell you guys how many people are still using a personal business account to operate their business, which is a no-no. I feel like commingling should be a sin, honestly. So make sure that you have that dedicated business bank account, that you establish that foundation, because that is when it really begins, right? When you start to not only open up an account with whatever banking institution you select, but also start to develop that relationship and that rapport with a potential lender. They can potentially in the future, give you a line of credit or a loan, and that's where it starts, right? So I just want to check with everyone, what have you done so far in this process when it comes to the fundamental pieces? Have you gotten your EIN number and your registration, obtaining your DUNS number, and opening up your business bank account? Let me know in the chat. It looks like a lot of people have done all three, which is amazing. Yep, one have all three. Awesome. 1 and 3. Usually a lot of people do miss the DUNS number. So we'll get into that in a second. Okay, cool. So we have a mix. Commingling is a thing. It puts your personal assets at risk. Get a business account. Yes, Auntie Donna, thank you. And that's the same reason why I really am a proponent of also creating and establishing a business foundation, business credit foundation, separate from your personal credit initially. Eventually, when you do want to get larger lines of credit with large corporations, like traditional lenders, you may, need to present your personal credit, but in the beginning, you don't. I'll show you exactly how you'll be able to just leverage your business to get these net 30 accounts and lines of credit. Okay. So let's talk about the DUNS, because it looks like a lot of people haven't gotten to this part. And Dun Bradstreet is the #1 business credit bureau in America. They've been around since like the 1800s. So they've been around for a while, and they basically start to capture data and information from potential partners, lenders, and that is how you'll be able to build a profile for your company, right? Because what happens is when it's time for you to apply for different types of funding, or even if you're not applying, guess what? Lenders are looking at the system and database to look at what new businesses have been added to the profile, to their database. And this is why it's so crucial for you to be able to not only get that DUNS number, but also establish a DUNS profile. Okay, so what you want to do is in the follow-up materials, you will receive the direct link to where you have to go to fill out the information. It's actually free for you to get your DUNS number. But what I like to say is before you apply and fill out the registration information for your DUNS number, you want to first check that they haven't populated a number for you yet, because what happens is if you've been in operation for some time, I would say a few months, a year, apps, they probably already have populated a score for you, or not a score, but a DUNS number for you. So you want to first, to avoid duplicating work, you want to first check, and if they haven't done that and populated that number for you, then you can go ahead and fill out that application form. Again, it's free. So if you do see that a company or a website is trying to charge you, it's fraud. So be careful. That's why in the follow-up materials, you guys will receive that direct link. Okay. So when you do fill this information out, just keep in mind that it really depends on their backlog, but it usually takes about 2 to 4 weeks for you to get your DUNS number via email. If the system hasn't populated that number for you. Okay, so the other third thing is the bank, right? The business bank account. I like to talk about different categories, right? Breaking these banking institutions into categories. So you have the big banks that offer tons of products. They're easily accessible, right? The downside to these big traditional banks is that they're a little bit harder to qualify for specific loans. They're not as flexible. They may have higher fees. Especially as a business owner, you may not have $2,500 to have in an account to waive a $12 monthly fee, right? So that's why I personally, for starting off, community banks and credit unions are awesome. There are so many out there that serve small businesses that can help you, grow and establish a relationship with them. So they're a little bit more personable, right? They have better rates, more flexible. But the only thing about these types of banks is that, you're only going to see them in your area. They're less accessible, and they may not have a bigger, like a big product suite versus when it comes to a big bank, right? And then you have the online banks. So low or zero fees. There's a few like Radius where you can actually earn more interest than a traditional bank, which is awesome. Not all banks do that, right? The Radius tailored checking, I know that you can get interest for just having a checking account, which again, not all banks provide that perk, right? It's a quick and easy process. I've coached a few people that have said, you know what, I don't have time to go into a bank and, submit my paperwork. I'm going to be there for a few hours. I just want to quickly get something set up where I can get my business going. And then eventually I will do, a traditional bank, or I will establish a relationship with another branch. And that's the main reason why people do go with online banks as well. It's quick, 10, 15 minutes, you already have a business bank account, right? The cons to this is that this is a big one. There is no personal relationship, right? It's harder for you to establish that rapport and that relationship, which is, again, so crucial in this process. There's usually no promotions, less products. And I just want to, I'm not I don't get affiliate or anything like that. I don't have an affiliate link or anything for any of these banks. I'm just kind of sharing a few banks out there that I've heard are great for business owners, like Chase, Bank of America, Capital One, and some online banks that have been really awesome and have served small business owners are Novo, which they're amazing, Radius, and Lily for freelancers. So let's talk about, how do we now establish credibility for our business, right? So one of the biggest things that I want to talk about, and I know this is going to be a hot topic, is making sure that the address you register your business with is the same address you're using to set up all your accounts, right? To set up that Dun Bradstreet profile, to set up your Net 30 accounts. And basically everything that you do in this business credit journey, you want to make sure that it matches. A simple mismatch of information can lead to a denial, right? So here is the thing also, right? For those of you guys that are service-based, online-based, that don't have a brick and mortar business, you probably want to think about maybe establishing a virtual business address, right? Especially if you are, if your business is registered under your home address, because number one, it's public information, right? As you're going to start establishing, these different types of accounts, this information is going to be public, which means that anybody can look up your business and find where you live. So something that you want to do to avoid that is by having and establishing this virtual business address. Again, in the resource list that you all receive, you'll get this information. But I'm going to mention a few here. There's a lot of companies out there that do sell virtual business addresses and like co-working spaces. So you want to think about maybe, Alliance is a really good one. Regis is another one. There's a few more, but even if you Google those, that information, you'll be able to find a ton of other companies that do that. And then another thing, okay, before I move on to the business phone number, another thing I will say about the address is I get this question asked a lot, and it's, can I use a PO box as my business address? Unfortunately, you cannot. The vendors will specifically say we don't accept PO boxes. Okay, so you need to have an actual business address. So the other big thing is setting up your business phone number. And what you want to do is you want to do that with maybe Ring Central, Vantage. And what you want to do with this phone number is you want to add it to the 411 yellow pages. And this is a directory that vendors do check to determine credibility for your company, right? And legitimacy. So you want to go ahead and add your information, your business information to this directory, so that once you're ready to, and we'll talk about this in a second, you're ready to move on through different tiers, you can, they're able to see your information. They're like, okay, yes, this company is legit. And then another big thing is making sure that all your paperwork is organized and in one place. In my personal journey to build my business credit for my company, I realized that there were times where I was trying to find like my DUNS number or looking for my certificate of formation. And it took me 15, 20 minutes to find this information. So 15, 20 minutes that I didn't have during the day, right? We're really busy throughout, our days and trying to run a business, not trying to look for paperwork, right? So what I did is establish, and this is a great best practice, set up a corporate book that can be maybe digital or, on like a binder where all your company documents live, right? So this is your cheat sheets. This is maybe all your logins for all your Net 30 accounts. This is your EIN numbers, your DUNS number, unique identifier. There's so many different numbers that we're now having to track in addition to our personal life, right? So that is going to be very crucial that you do. And then having an online presence. And when I say online presence, I mean an online presence outside of social media, okay? So you want to have a website, a landing page. Maybe your website is not complete, but at least start with the landing page so that, again, they can find you in other places, these lenders and potential financial institutions and so on and so forth. And then creating maybe also a Google business profile as well is going to be important for you. Okay, so we're going to get into the actual activity, but before that, I want to talk about the scoring systems for the top 3 business credit bureaus, right? We have Dun Bradstreet, which is number 1. The scoring system is from 0 to 100. Experian, which is also from 0 to 100. And then Equifax, they don't provide a score, but they do track your information and they provide a report. Okay, so that's the first thing we're going to cover, and then we're going to go into establishing lines of credit and going in order, and then how to monitor this score. So you want to build your business credit score, but you also want to have the ability and access to monitor it. And how are you going to know if you need to improve or you need to add trade lines, or what adjustments you need to make if you don't even know what your score is? Okay, so here's how you understand your score. It's very simple. The Paydex score is from 0 to 100, and they're highly ranked on early payments more than anything else. Okay, so an example of this is if you have a net 30 account, let's say, and a net 30 account just simply means that that specific company gives you 30 days to pay off that invoice, right? Whatever it is that you purchased. So in that instance, what you want to do is you want to pay that invoice in full after the item ships, okay? Wait until the item ships, because you also want to make sure that they add this activity to your business credit profile, so that there's something happening there, right? There's some transactions, there are things happening inside your business credit profile, but you also want to go ahead and pay as soon as possible. So a good rule of thumb is paying as soon as the item ships, or maybe when the item arrives. And that is how you're going to get to that 80 Paydex score, which is the sweet spot. You want to be a minimum of 80. 80 to 100 is where you are inside low risk category. So this is when your opportunities to get more and more approvals will increase. So then you also have Experian, right? While DMB rewards prompt payments, Experian does not, right? They look at credit utilization, they look at frequency in derogatory marks, they look at tax liens, so on and so forth, right? So it's a little bit more complex, but you simply just want to make sure that you're paying on time, you have history, right? You're building your scores, you're getting vendors that report to these business credit bureaus, because what happens is not all vendors, not all companies that you establish net 30 accounts with are going to report. And that's where people miss the boat, whereas, in personal credit, it's almost automatic when you start building your score. As soon as we turn 18, right, we start getting credit cards, and these payments are reported automatically. That is not the case with business credit. You do have to select vendors that report to these business credit bureaus. Just because you have a net 30 account does not mean that you're building your score. Just keep that in mind. It's important to, let's say you right now have a net 30 account, and you're trying to wonder if this activity is reporting to the business credit bureaus. Simply just ask the company to see if they know anything about that, or if they can help you and guide you in that process. Because again, it's not automatic. It does not necessarily mean that these companies are reporting. Okay, so let's talk about establishing lines of credit, right? So it's important to go in order, because you will be able to get access to vendor credit very easily and quickly. These vendors, these companies recognize that you don't have a business credit history, right? You haven't built a business score yet. So they're going to approve you just on the simple fact that you have a business. And that's the purpose of starting with these starter accounts, because these companies are for that, for you to kind of get your feet wet and start building that credit, right? And then you have tier 2, which is a little bit more advanced. These companies are going to double and triple check you a little bit more. So when I mentioned the 411 directory, these companies are going to check that directory. They're going to check your address a little bit more. They have a longer list of qualifications for you to be approved. And that's why it's important to start with, the starter vendors. So, and then they also do require that you have, most of them, that you have a Paydex score of 80 to be able to get approved. And then tier 3 is the credited cash account. So we're talking about alternative lending. We're talking about maybe AI credit lenders, equipment financing, lines of credit, all of that. But we're really just going to focus on tier 1 and 2 for the sake of this conversation, just because I can be here for 3 hours talking to you guys about this topic because it's so involved. There's so many moving parts and variables. And what I will say is that don't get overwhelmed. Start small where you are right now. And I like to also say that, use the grocery store approach, right? So if there is something here that you're like, I have no idea what that means, I'm going to start with what I know. Pick up whatever it is that you want to do and what you want to know and leave everything there and then come back for it. So that I think that's a very good part of just being a business owner and implementing what needs to be done now and prioritizing, and then again, revisiting certain things later on when you're ready for that. So these are some vendor credit companies that you can get credit for that report. Remember, that's very important. These companies report to the business credit bureaus, okay? These are going to give you net 30 accounts, and they don't require a lot from you. They just want to make sure that you're in business for 90 days, that you have that business bank account, that you have your EIN number, again, that you are in good standing with the Secretary of State. And that's basically it. You get your net 30 account and your approval very quickly. It's a fast turnaround time, about 1 to 2 business days, depending on who you go after and who you get credit with. But for instance, Quill is one of my favorites, and they give you credit almost immediately. Sometimes you do have to make a purchase of a larger dollar amount initially to be able to unlock that net 30 account. So it's important to ask these questions because things change all the time. For instance, when I opened up a Quill account, they did require that I make my first payment of $100 before tax to be able to get that approval with the net 30 account. That may not be the case right now, right? They may have changed their procedures and their protocols. So it's important to, and I do this a lot, right? I get on the phone with people, I talk to somebody live, and guess what? Sometimes that helps you get more approvals than just filling out an application form because they don't know who you are, right? It's just gonna be a robot checking your answers to see if you answered the way that they want you to answer. So it's important to also have those conversations. May take more time, but it's gonna really help in the long run. Another big part of tier 1 is, like I mentioned, is monitoring your score, right? So once you start building up these net 30 accounts, and you have a minimum of 3 payment experiences reporting to Dun Bradstreet, Dun Bradstreet is going to give you that score, right? That Paydex score. They're going to say, okay, based on how you paid with these 3 payment experiences, this is your score, right? And NAV is a great resource for you to be able to track this score and you're not only going to track the business credit score, they actually even track your personal credit score as well. There's so many amazing features on NAV. If you scan the barcode here, you'll be able to access the paid accounts. It's a subscription service, right? You can actually get a free account with NAV and kind of just test the waters initially, but again, you're not going to be able to track your scores that way. You'll just have access to the platform. The platform helps you get connected with this different loans and financing options based on your business needs. But once you either select the business boost or the loan builder account, you will be able to use this monthly subscription to be added to your profile. And this means that NAV is going to report this payment to all business credit bureaus every single month. So this counts as a trade line, guys. This is super cool. Not only are you going to be able to track your score, but this subscription is also going to count as a trade line or a net 30 account, however you want to, call them. It's basically the same thing. So, so if you choose the business boost or the loan builder, that's when you're able to unlock that tier. Or that trade line. Now, I am a partner with NAV, so this is an affiliate link. I just want to be super transparent. But when you do sign up under this, this paid account, what happens is they, if you use a specific code, which I'm going to drop at the end of the presentation, you'll get 50% off your very first month, which is awesome. So retail credit is another thing that I want to cover really quickly. I don't want to spend too much time here because we have a lot to cover still, and we are running out of time. And I want to give you guys enough time to also ask questions. So retail credit is tier 2, right? And you'll see a lot more well-known companies under this tier. Walmart, Amazon, gas cards. So Amazon is actually closer to tier 3. So be careful when you do get to that at minimum of 80 Paydex score. You want to really start small with tier 2. Maybe gas cards will be a good starting point. Maybe like Staples is another one. I believe Staples allows you to set up an account with them, and you don't even need to apply for them to report to the business credit bureaus. So that's really cool that they do that. Okay, so the last thing that I want to cover, and this is the very first year of you building your business credit and being more intentional. It does say 6 to 9 months, but I really don't want to limit you guys. You can actually do this as quickly as possible or as slow as possible. It really depends on you. And your business needs, right? But it's important, especially if you are still repairing your personal credit. Tier 3 is going to be more involved, and you're probably going to also want to make sure that your personal credit is up to par. But there are still some opportunities for you to build under tier 3 that does not involve personal credit, and that is with secured cards like the Divvy Credit Builder card. The Divvy Credit Builder card is amazing because it's not a credit card, and that means that they don't do a hard pull or anything like that. You're able to get rewards. And yes, it's not like you get a line of credit or anything like that, but you're able to transfer your funds from your business account to this card. And even, let's say, if you have a contractor that you're paying their gas or whatever it is, you can actually even open up new cards and provide this card to your contractor or your employee, and select limits on how much they can spend on the card. So that's really cool. They have a lot of really good features, which I love. And the fact that they're quote unquote a debit card, but you're still able to get rewards from it is pretty nice. Not only that, they actually also report to the credit bureaus as well every single month. Okay, so let's talk about some hacks. We're going to talk about checklists. We're going to recap all of this juicy information, and then we're going to pass it over to Colin so that we can go ahead and take questions. So one of the big things that you want to do in a lot of application forms, you will not see this, but you want to include your DUNS number on these application forms so that they can recognize you quickly. They recognize your business, and they can connect your application to your Dun Bradstreet profile. Another thing is, opening up a business account, like a business merchant account, right? So if you're using, maybe you're using PayPal or Stripe to be able to invoice your customers, this just shows potential lenders proof that you're a legitimate business, right? And then becoming a lender for your business is going to be very important, because guess what? Before you try to pursue external lenders, you have to be a lender for your business. You have to be an internal lender so that you can show that you are serious about this business, and you can really show that you're worthy of the funding that you're trying to go after. Okay. So we covered a lot of this, right? So we talked about getting a business phone number. your website or landing page setup, ensuring that all your documents match, right? So there's a few things like if you are a service-based business or online-based business that you're going to have to do if you do want to establish that dedicated address, right? Getting a business email, right? I'm not talking about your name at Gmail, right? We're talking about having an email, established email that is your domain, right? So mine's is info@cashesqueenllc.com. Creating a separate business address, again, the same thing kind of goes back to ensuring that all your documents match. And now let's talk about becoming a lender. Like, how does that look like? Becoming a lender for your business? What do you mean by that? Okay. So what happens is, we all do this, right? We all bootstrap. We all take money from our personal savings to cover operational expenses on, during the month and all that. So what you want to do is you want to document that, right? Documentation as we've heard, I don't know how long you guys have been in business, but when I first started my business, I heard that a lot from tax accountants, from CPAs. You need to document everything. So that's the same thing with this, right? If you're loaning your business self, maybe $500 or $1,000, document that so that you can go back and say, hey, this is what I've done for my business. I've exhausted all my funds and I am asking for a loan for XYZ, whatever it is. It goes a long way, and it really shows your professionalism and increases your credibility. So that's going to be important. And that template is going to be sent out as a follow-up as well. So no need to look it up or anything like that. You'll get it in your follow-up email. Okay, so recap. We're gonna make sure that your business is registered in good standing with the state, right? Getting our DUNS number. For a lot of us, that's where we are right now. Going online, today and registering for that DUNS number so that you can get that number in the next few weeks is probably gonna be your next best thing and next step. And then setting up that business bank account, which a lot of us have already, which is great. Establishing those lines of credit and going in order. What I don't want you to do is getting credit just to get credit either, okay? I want you to get credit that you're going to actually use. So it's important, and this is something that we're also going to provide over to you. It's important that you look at those tier 1 vendors and you look at, who they report to, because not all vendors report to all credit bureaus, right? Some report to Dun Bradstreet, some report to all 3, some report to a smaller credit bureau. So you do have to have those conversations and ask them, hey, do you guys report to the business credit bureaus? If they don't know what you're talking about, then they probably don't. So it's important to really get credit that you're going to use and not go through the tiers because we don't have time for that. You want to make sure that you are establishing credit that you're going to use, and you're just not going through the motions. You're really, spending time and being intentional about what it is that you're doing for your business, right? And then establishing those credit monitoring services like NAV, a credit suite is another good one. So that is something that's going to be very important once that activity starts to hit your profile. Okay, so we're wrapping up. I just wanted to share my landing page, where you can find me, where you can connect with me. This has been amazing. I just want to thank the NASDAQ team for having me on today. This is something that I'm very passionate about. I don't know if you've been able to tell, but I'm on a mission to really help people, not only in their business finance journeys, but their personal finance journeys, and helping them. I feel like once we know, we have the strategy and we know what to do in our financial journeys, we are just a better, better sister, better mother, better brother, better business partner, right? It's important to really establish that foundation, that money foundation that we all need to be successful. So I am going to stop my sharing my screen and pass it over to Colin so that we can start.
Awesome. Well, as we've been seeing in the chat, everyone is loving all of this. So thank you so much for that great overview. Everyone's thank you. Great presentation. I've been an entrepreneur for years, and this is amazing. So before I jump into Q&A, and we've got a bunch of great questions, so we're going to try to get to them all. I'm just going to launch a quick poll for all of you that helps us understand what we should be offering in the future. So we use this poll information to carve out the programs over the next couple months, hopefully in the most real time as possible, as you, the entrepreneurs that we serve, are struggling among many other things. So looks like finance is in the lead here. Thank you all for participating. I want to jump into Q&A because we have so many great questions. But no surprise there, finance is at the top of the key, but we also have some marketing, sales, scale, team, and just a little bit of survival mode out there. So we'll make sure to take that information and run with it. So Yarelys, we've got a lot to ground to cover, but let's get it. We're going to do a lightning round. So how can you find out what your business credit score is?
Okay, so this is basically when I mentioned the monitoring of your scores. This is where you find that out. So having that NAV account, a credit suite is another one. I'm actually going to drop the special, the coupon code. I don't know if you guys were able to scan the barcode on the NAV slide, which takes you to the subscription services. I'm also going to drop the coupon code for that as well. That's where you're able to find your credit score.
Awesome.
So let me go ahead and do that now before I forget.
Great. And for those of you who have asked, we are going to follow up with the deck, this recording, and a ton of other resources for you all. So never fear, if you don't catch it now, you'll be able to catch it later. My question is, can you recommend the best business accounts to consider for small businesses, for new startups and founders?
Best. So this is a great question. A few of the banking institutions that serve small business owners are your credit unions. They're amazing. I heard KeyBank is a very good banking institution that serves business owners. And not only that, but they also have a credit card that you can get specifically for connected to your business credit score and not your personal. So they're not going to do a hard pull, because what happens is larger banking institutions are going to ask for that personal credit score, right? So you don't want a certain program that allows that. KeyBank, there is Navy Federal is also a great one. And your community banks, I would say, are probably your next step, so that you can avoid like additional fees that I've spoken to business owners that pay $15 a month for a bank account, and they're pre-launch. They're not even making money yet. So why are you paying $15? They're not serving small business owners, right? So it's important to look at picking those business bank accounts that serve smaller business owners.
Amazing. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that our partners over at Bank of the West are also very friendly to small business and early business owners. Another question here. What's the DUNS number if you're applying for federal financial assistance?
That is amazing. I actually wanted to start off with that, but I have so much information in my head that I completely forgot. But for government grants, government loans, if you want to do business with the government, as of April of this year, they changed the process. They were using the DUNS number for those for that instance, for that scenario. But now you actually have to set up a registration with SAM.gov and get your unique identifier with them. If you want to do business with the government, or you want to, or you're applying for government grants, government loans, this is now a part of the process. Unfortunately, it's another part of the process that we have to kind of go through as business owners. And the most unfortunate thing is that it's not straightforward, of course. So you have to create an account. I actually was dealing with them this morning where I'm like, I don't know what I'm signing off on. Like it's gibberish to me. Why are you like, I don't know what this provision means. I don't feel comfortable. So it's also important to just double check to make sure, it's not straightforward and it's a longer process. So you will have to create that account with sam.gov, get your unique identifier, and then go through the registration process for that.
They don't make it easy, but if you do it right, then it can benefit. So let's see, another question here. There's a couple of questions around, if I have registered all my accounts to my home address, should I do an address change for my business, I'm guessing? And then another one here that says, can you use your home address if it's a remote business?
Okay, so let me start from the top, right? If you registered your business with your home address, that's why I like to bring up those things that people don't think about, right? Because what happens is, as you are going in your business credit journey and as you are opening up accounts, setting your account up or your business up with Dun Bradstreet, this has now become public information, right? So just keep that in mind. So if you feel comfortable with knowing where, with having lenders know where you live, potential clients, then okay. But I personally, when I found out, when I was doing research around this topic, when I first started the business, I was not comfortable with that. And then also, when you're starting to go from tier 1 to tier 2, these companies are going to look up the address and they're obviously going to see that it's a home. You're working out of your home, which, I mean, most of us are in this day and age, but it's just perception, right? Having that, established virtual business address. And when they look up the address, it's like a high rise in New York City or something like that. It looks pretty legit. So it's going to be easier for them to extend approvals because of that, right? So just a few things to think about. I'm not going to say yes or no, but it's really up to you, up to what your personal preference is. I'm not a fan of, using my home for certain things. I want to create that separation.
Love it. Great advice. Let's see. There's a bunch of questions here. There's a couple more about the address stuff, but I think we got it. Let's see.
I do see somebody says, is it too late to change my address? You can always change your address with EIN, but remember, you have to do it on the federal level with EIN, right, with the IRS, and then on the state level with the Secretary of State. So you want to make sure you do it both in both, jurisdictions.
Love it. Another question here. How do we get a net 30 account if we do not have vendors? They're service-based.
So I would say start with those tier 1 vendors. You're going to get the list. We all need supplies, right, for our business, even if you're service-based, right? So these starter vendors have a ton of products, right? They have not only, pens, stationery, furniture, but they also have hand sanitizer, cleaning supplies that you probably will need, even if it's not for your business. But having that activity starting off with the starter accounts would probably be a good idea to begin with.
Great. Another question here. Do business credit card companies report automatically?
So it depends. There's a lot. That's a loaded question, right? Because not all credit card companies and traditional lenders report to all business credit bureaus. So this is something that as you are going in the process, now that you know what to ask and that this is a thing that it's not automatic, before you apply for the specific lender, maybe calling them or looking into this information, going on their website and finding out if that line of credit or that credit card reports to the business credit bureaus, because sometimes it would just be the personal credit. So you just have to be careful, you don't want to touch your personal credit as much as possible, right? You want to keep it separate.
Love it. Just running down the list here, all great questions, and there's so many, but good thing that your office hours after this to answer some of the ones that we don't get to. But let's see. How do we build credit as a health insurance Medicare broker that doesn't need office supplies? I think you just covered that with the vendor thing.
Yeah, there's other types of vendors under tier 1 that you can look into.
Yep. Terry asks, another credit class suggested that we used Amazon Biz account to establish credit. What about Amazon on this list?
Yes, so that is a great question. I think everyone here should open up a business, well, create a business Amazon account. And it's not like you don't have to apply because you're not going to get a line of credit with them, but it's just good to start establishing that relationship with them. It's just going to be just a regular business account. And what you can do as a way to get credit from the purchases that you make under Amazon, even the people that say, well, tier 1, I don't need any of this. How am I going to build business credit? What you can do is you can use, this is a strategy, and only you guys know about this. You can use the Divvy charge card to pay for those Amazon purchases. And guess what? The Divvy card reports to all 3 business credit bureaus every single month. So that Amazon business account, although it's not reporting yet, right? Because Amazon is more of tier 2 account and you need to build up to that, right? You're still able to build credit under that Amazon business account.
What a nice trick. Okay, let's see. How is lending to yourself different than owner equity deposits?
So I'm not sure about that. I'm sorry. I don't know too much about that part of the process. I would say it's important to, like I said, document that where you're loaning to yourself. And then, that way, when you do get to that point of maybe reaching out to financial institutions, larger lines of credit, you can show them that, right? And even, if you're doing the owner equity deposits, I would say you should also show that as well, right? Document that as well.
Love that. Well, we could spend so many hours with you learning from your wisdom here. Really appreciate everything that you've shared today. And I'm sure everyone is just very appreciative as well. If somebody was to dial in the last 60 seconds of this, what's one key takeaway that you want everyone to come away with today?
To start today, please do, because it's a journey, it's a process. You're going to get frustrated, but you just start today and get better every single day. Get a little bit better every single day. I say 1% for me is amazing. If I'm 1% better than I was yesterday, that's incredible. So that's where I want to leave you guys with.
I love that. Well, Yarelys, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. It's been a gift to spend time with you today. Thank you all for attending. Hopefully this was helpful. We'll follow up with more information, with more materials, with this recording. I know it's a lot of information, but guess what? We've got you. So Yarelys, thank you so much on behalf of everyone on our team and everyone in attendance.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.
Righty. And for those of you still on, we'd love to invite you to our upcoming programs. So we're going to drop a link for those. Also, we'd love to hear your feedback. So if you want to let us know what you'd like to hear in the future, let us know. But everyone, see you all online soon. Have a good one.